The final day of the AIPAC policy conference. In case you don't know, AIPAC is the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, the very powerful pro-Israeli lobby pushing its agenda with Congress today. RT's Lauren Lister was there and has this story.
It's not a settlement. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, like Washington is the capital of the United States.
AIPAC.
It's mind-boggling.
Day 3, another day of debates offstage over the U.S. pro-Israel agenda. As Washington and Tel Aviv disagree on the issue of settlements, so do Jewish Americans.
She's going to say that Jerusalem is not a settlement. You stole the land from the Muslim people who are our friends.
Though the powerful group hears from former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair,
this is the two-state solution. It's not a slogan. It is the only path to lasting peace.
protesters don't believe they're hearing the whole story and aren't open to it either.
You don't engage with code pay.
I can say for myself that growing up in Jewish Hebrew school in the U.S., I was told a one-sided story about Israel. I never knew about the Palestinians. I didn't know about what life was like behind that wall.
Inside these walls, members prepare to flex their lobbying muscles.
I think we have visits to about 500 offices between the House and the Senate.
Here on Capitol Hill, as literally thousands of AIPAC members arrive to lobby U.S. lawmakers, there's another group that meets them out here who says they say publicly what many U.S. lawmakers are afraid to.
And we said, do you believe there should be a freeze of settlements? And they say yes. And we say, will you say anything inside AIPAC? And they look like, yeah, right. I mean, they are scared.
Though fear may amount to a free pass.
You can do whatever you want, Mr. Netanyahu, because you are Israel.
These activists aren't scared of standing up over settlements and the plight of Palestinians.
I say this as a Jew, as somebody who feels terrible that Israel has become the victimizer. Whatever Israel wants.
And while it's no secret in Washington, money talks.
And this Congress, Israel wants you. It continues to have this cachet and so much money that it throws around in Congress.
With U.S. and Israel tensions and more voices coming forward with moderate views.
And of course, that's what J Street is all about, an alternative to the AIPAC lobby.
Critics argue that money may be saying less.
I think this year really marks the beginning of the end for AIPAC. Resign yourself, it's true.
Okay, so joining us to talk more about this is Lauren Lister, who was out there, who did that story. I'm going to get to the AIPAC, because that's the point of your story in a couple seconds, but I want to start off with this question. The people who are out there protesting, the activists, as you mentioned them as, it's not as if these are activists who really don't know what they're talking about, they have no idea or anything like that. These aren't just crazy people out there who are just railing against a pro-Israeli lobbying group. These are people who really know their stuff.
Yeah, the activists, few that I interviewed in my story, their position is informed by visits to Gaza and by seeing the situation on the ground and saying that it is far worse than they had ever thought growing up, that they'd ever been taught. You heard, they're both Jewish Americans, and they, after seeing the situation, the human rights conditions that they say are deplorable, that has informed their opinion that Israeli policy there is just not just and that it breaks international law.
Okay. I think the common knowledge or the common thought about people who lobby or who rail against a group like AIPAC would be maybe a Palestinian group or people who are not Jewish. Right. But you showed clearly in your package these are people who are also of Jewish descent who are railing against AIPAC. We saw that also that AIPAC has a lot of money on its hands just by the presentation it put together. Right. But the point I'm trying to make is this. AIPAC is being attacked by different groups for several different reasons. There are different factions of who don't believe AIPAC is doing the right thing. Can you talk on that real quickly?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it shows kind of divides within the Jewish community. I think that it's changing, or at least the people that I've spoken to indicate what it means to be pro-Israel is changing. For a long time, there was one voice. for what that meant, and it was AIPAC. And now you see these divides. You see more groups coming forward saying that they don't agree with supporting everything that Israel, the government, says in all of their policies. You see that with the emergence of a new Jewish lobby in the United States, J Street, which represents a more moderate voice, and of course in these activist groups, which are Jewish Americans, which are religious groups. You saw a group of rabbis and have a different point of view.
RT's Lauren Lesser, good explanation. Thank you so much.
Thanks.